They say power recognizes power. They're lying. Power recognizes something far more dangerous: truth spoken without fear. And when Maya Santos looked Vincent Calabrese's father directly in the eyes and said those 7 words, the entire ballroom went silent. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where it really started, 3 weeks before that moment, when Maya was just trying to survive another shift at Rosselli's. The dinner plate shattered against the wall 6 inches from Maya's head. She didn't flinch. After 5 years working at Rosselli's, the finest Italian restaurant in Chicago's Gold Coast, she'd learned that flinching only encouraged men like Gerald Brennan. He was drunk again, screaming about his ossobuco being overcooked, his face purple with rage and expensive scotch. "You incompetent!" He lunged forward, and Maya stepped back, her worn sneakers squeaking against the marble floor. Her heart hammered, but she kept her voice steady. "Sir, I'll have the kitchen prepare you another."
"I don't want another. I want you fired."
Marco, the floor manager, materialized at her elbow. His hand gripped her arm, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. "Miss Santos, perhaps you should take your break early." Translation: disappear before this costs us a wealthy customer. Maya pulled free and walked toward the kitchen, her tips for the night, $43, crumpled in her apron pocket. Not enough. Never enough. She had $127 in her bank account and $3,000 due to Tommy, the shark, Marcuso in 10 days. Her mother's hospital bills had piled up before the cancer finally took her 6 months ago, and Maya had been stupid enough, desperate enough, to borrow from the kind of man who didn't accept late payments. She pushed through the kitchen doors, past the line cooks who wouldn't meet her eyes, and into the back alley. The October air bit through her thin uniform. She had exactly 4 minutes before Marco came looking for her. 4 minutes to decide whether to go back in there and grovel to Gerald Brennan, or walk out with what remained of her dignity. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hello? Maya Santos?" The voice was smooth, male, with an accent she couldn't place. "My name is Antonio Calabrese. I have a business proposition for you." "I'm not interested in $5,000 a week, plus room and board." Maya's breath caught. "For what?" "My grandson needs a nanny. I've had you investigated. You're qualified, you're desperate, and you're clean. Most importantly, you know how to keep your mouth shut." "Investigated?" Ice flooded her veins. "Who the hell are you?" "Come to the Calabrese estate tomorrow at 9 a.m., 1247 Lakeshore Drive. If you're not interested, don't come." "But Miss Santos?" His voice dropped. "Tommy Marcuso works for my son. Come to this interview, and your debt disappears. Don't come, and I can't protect you from what happens in 10 days. The line went dead. Maya stood in the alley, her hands shaking now that no one could see. The Calabrese family. Everyone in Chicago knew that name, even if they pretended not to. Vincent Calabrese ran the most powerful crime organization in the Midwest. His father, Antonio, was supposedly retired, but retirement for men like that didn't mean powerless. She'd heard stories. Money laundering, extortion, worse things whispered about in the dark. But she'd also heard that the Calabrese paid their debts and protected their own. And if this was real, if she could make $5,000 a week... Marco shoved the door open. "Santos, you're done for tonight. Don't bother coming in tomorrow." "I quit," Maya said, surprised by the steadiness in her own voice. "You can't quit. You're fired." "Fine." She untied her apron, dropped it at his feet, and walked past him. She had nothing to lose now. Nothing except her life if she didn't show up at that address tomorrow morning. The Calabrese estate wasn't a house. It was a fortress disguised as a mansion, all limestone and wrought iron sitting on 3 acres of Lake Michigan waterfront. Maya stood at the gate at 8:55 a.m., wearing her only interview outfit, a black dress she'd bought at Goodwill 3 years ago, and her mother's pearl earrings, the only jewelry she'd kept. A voice crackled from the intercom. "Name?" "Maya Santos. I have an appointment with Mr. Calabrese." The gate swung open silently. She walked up the curved driveway, past gardens that probably cost more to maintain than she'd earned in her entire life. The front door opened before she could knock. The man who answered was not Antonio Calabrese. He was younger, maybe 35, built like he knew his way around a gym and a gun. His eyes were the color of steel in winter. "I'm here to see," Maya started. "I know why you're here." He looked her up and down, his expression unreadable. "I'm Vincent Calabrese. This is my son you'd be taking care of. My father thinks I need help. I think I can handle my own child." So this was the infamous Vincent Calabrese. Maya had expected someone older, harder. He was hard, certainly. Everything about him was controlled, contained, dangerous. But there was something else in his eyes when he mentioned his son, something that looked almost like fear. "Then why am I here?" Maya asked. "Because my father owns 40% of everything I have, and when Antonio Calabrese makes a suggestion, it's not really a suggestion." He stepped aside. "Come in. But understand something, Miss Santos. You hurt my son, you upset him, you do anything I don't like, and your body will never be found. Are we clear?" "Crystal." Maya walked past him into a foyer that could have fit her entire apartment. "Where is he?" "Upstairs. He doesn't talk." Vincent's jaw tightened. "He hasn't spoken a word in 8 months. Not since his mother died." The words hit Maya in the chest. She knew that silence. She'd lived in it after her own mother's death. That space where words felt too small, too inadequate for the size of grief. "How old is he?" "5. His name is Luca." "Can I meet him?" Vincent studied her for a long moment, and Maya forced herself to meet his gaze. She'd learned early that powerful men respected only 2 things: fear or its complete absence. She'd tried fear. It never worked. "This way," Vincent finally said. They climbed a staircase that could have been in a museum, past paintings that were probably originals, down a hallway lined with closed doors. Vincent stopped at one covered in superhero stickers. "He likes Spider-Man," Vincent said quietly. "And dinosaurs. And swimming. He used to laugh all the time. Now he just..." He knocked gently. "Luca? There's someone here to meet you." The room inside was every child's dream. A bed shaped like a race car, shelves overflowing with toys, a reading nook with cushions and books. And in the corner, sitting on the floor with his back against the wall, was a little boy with his father's dark hair and his mother's eyes. He looked at Maya without expression, a toy dinosaur clutched in one small hand. Maya's heart broke and mended simultaneously. She knew this child. She'd been this child. She walked across the room slowly, not speaking, and sat down on the floor 6 feet away from him. Not close enough to threaten, not far enough to seem disinterested. She pulled her phone from her purse and opened a video, a documentary about dinosaurs she'd downloaded on the train that morning, a gamble that Vincent's information was accurate. She turned the volume low and set the phone between them. Luca's eyes flickered to the screen. A minute passed, then another. Then, so slowly she almost missed it, he scooted forward 3 inches, then 3 more. Maya didn't look at him. She kept her eyes on the screen, but she felt Vincent's presence in the doorway, felt his shock at his son's movement. By the time the video ended, Luca was sitting close enough that their shoulders almost touched. He looked up at her, those huge, dark eyes asking a question his voice wouldn't. "Want to see another one?" Maya asked softly. Luca nodded. Behind them, Vincent's phone rang. He answered it, his voice dropping to a murmur, then silence. When Maya glanced back, he was staring at his son with an expression of such raw hope and pain that she had to look away. "Miss Santos," Antonio Calabrese's voice came from the hallway. "A word, please." Maya looked at Luca. "I'll be right back, okay? You can keep watching." She left the phone with him and stepped into the hall. Antonio Calabrese was everything his son would become in 30 years. Silver-haired, sharp-eyed, radiating authority like heat from a furnace. But there was something else there, too. Something that softened when he glanced past her to his grandson. "He moved toward you," Antonio said. "In 8 months, he hasn't moved toward anyone." "He's grieving," Maya said simply. "Grief makes you small. You need someone who understands that." "And you understand it." "My mother died 6 months ago. Cancer. I couldn't afford the treatments that might have saved her." She met his eyes. "Is that in your investigation file?" "It is." Antonio gestured toward the staircase. "Walk with me." They descended to a study that smelled of leather and old books. Antonio poured 2 glasses of something amber and expensive, handed her one. Maya took it but didn't drink. "The job is simple," Antonio said. "Take care of Luca. Help him heal. Keep him safe. In return, your debt to Tommy Marcuso is erased as of this moment. You'll be paid $5,000 weekly, in cash. You'll live here, in the East Wing. You'll have full access to the house and grounds with one exception: my son's office. You don't go in there. You don't ask questions about what happens in there. You don't repeat anything you hear in this house. Understood?" "What happened to his mother?" Maya asked. Antonio's expression hardened. "Car accident. She was driving home from her sister's house. A truck ran a red light." He paused. "The driver was drunk. He survived. She didn't." "I'm sorry." "My son loved her. He's not capable of loving like that again. But he loves that boy more than his own life. You hurt Luca, and Vincent's threat was gentle compared to what I'll do." "I won't hurt him," Maya said. "But I need to know, am I safe here? From whatever business you and your son are in?" "No one is ever completely safe, Miss Santos. But inside these walls, you're under Calabrese's protection. That's as safe as it gets in this world." He raised his glass. "Do we have an agreement?" Maya thought about her empty apartment, her empty bank account, the way Luca had moved toward her like a plant toward light. She thought about the fact that these were dangerous men, that accepting this job meant entering a world she'd spent her whole life avoiding. Then she thought about that little boy's silence, and the way Vincent had looked at his son, and the simple fact that sometimes survival meant making deals with devils. "We have an agreement," Maya said, and drank. The first week was the hardest. Luca watched her with those enormous eyes, accepting her presence, but not trusting it. Maya didn't push. She established routines: breakfast at 8, playtime in the garden, lunch at noon, quiet time with books, afternoon activities, dinner at 6. She learned that he hated peas but loved broccoli, that he slept with 3 stuffed animals arranged in a specific order, that he had nightmares that woke him up crying but still silent. Vincent was a ghost in his own house. He left early, came home late, and when he was there, he watched his son with an intensity that was almost painful. He barely spoke to Maya beyond necessary instructions, but she felt his presence constantly, felt him evaluating every interaction, every choice she made. Antonio was different. He joined them for breakfast every morning, reading the newspaper while Luca ate his cereal. He asked Maya questions about her life, her education. She'd finished 2 years of college before her mother got sick. Her plans. She deflected most of them. She was learning that in this house, information was currency, and she didn't know the exchange rate yet. On the 8th day, Luca took her hand. They were walking in the garden, looking at the koi pond, and he just slipped his small hand into hers like it was the most natural thing in the world. Maya's throat tightened. She squeezed gently, and he squeezed back. Vincent was watching from his office window. She saw him there, silhouetted against the light, and even from that distance, she could feel the weight of his gaze. That night, he knocked on her door. It was past 11, and Maya had been reading in bed, unable to sleep in a room larger than her old apartment. She pulled on a robe and opened the door. Vincent stood in the hallway, still wearing his suit, though he'd loosened his tie. He looked exhausted. "He held your hand today," Vincent said. "Yes." "He hasn't held anyone's hand since the funeral." Vincent's voice was rough. "I've tried. My father's tried. He pulls away." "He's not ready to hold yours yet," Maya said gently. "You remind him too much of what he lost. I'm neutral ground." "I'm his father." "And he loves you. But love and grief get tangled up sometimes. He'll come back to you. He just needs time." Vincent stared at her, and something shifted in his expression. "You really believe that?" "I know it. I lived it." "Your mother." "I didn't speak to anyone for 3 months after she died. Not because I couldn't. Because words felt like betrayal. Like if I kept living, kept talking, kept being normal, it meant she didn't matter. Silence was the only thing big enough to hold how much I missed her." Vincent was quiet for a long moment. Then, "What made you talk again?" "A nurse at the hospice where she died. I went back there one day, and she saw me in the parking lot. She didn't ask me how I was doing or tell me it would get better. She just said, 'Your mother was so proud of you.' She told me that every single day. And I realized that my silence wasn't honoring her. It was wasting what she'd given me." "What had she given you?" "Life. And the responsibility to do something worthwhile with it." Vincent nodded slowly. "Thank you for telling me that." He started to turn away, then stopped. "Maya, that's your name, right? Not Miss Santos?" "Yes." "Thank you for being here. For him." He walked away before she could respond, his footsteps silent on the thick carpet. Maya closed the door and leaned against it, her heart beating faster than it should. There was something about Vincent Calabrese that unsettled her, and it wasn't his reputation or his power. It was the glimpses of humanity beneath the armor, the cracks that showed how much he was hurting. She was starting to care about these people. That was dangerous. The second week, Luca smiled. It was a small thing. Maya was making silly faces while they played with his dinosaurs, but it transformed his whole face. She wanted to run and find Vincent, wanted to share this moment, but she didn't. Some things were just for her and Luca, small victories that didn't need an audience. But Vincent knew anyway. That night at dinner, Antonio had insisted she eat with the family. He looked at his son and said, "I heard you had a good day, buddy." Luca nodded and took another bite of pasta. "Maya says you're getting really good at building dinosaur habitats." Another nod, but this time Luca glanced at Maya, something almost conspiratorial in his eyes. "Maybe this weekend we could build one together," Vincent said carefully. "The three of us, if you want." Luca considered this. Then, slowly, he nodded. Vincent's relief was palpable. Antonio caught Maya's eye across the table and raised his wine glass slightly in acknowledgement. She was doing what they'd hired her to do, bringing Luca back to life, and in the process, rebuilding the bridge between father and son. That weekend, they built the most elaborate dinosaur habitat Maya had ever seen, taking over the entire living room. Vincent got down on the floor with them, his expensive suit forgotten, and helped Luca arrange rocks and plants and tiny prehistoric creatures. He was surprisingly patient, following his son's lead, letting Luca make all the decisions. And when Luca fell asleep that night, he was clutching a toy T-Rex in one hand and smiling. "You're good at this," Vincent said. They were cleaning up the living room, putting dinosaurs back in bins. "Being with him. I like him. He's a good kid." "He is. He's the best thing I've ever done." Vincent set down a brachiosaurus and looked at her. "I need you to understand something. The world I'm in, the things I do. I'm not a good man, Maya. I've hurt people. I'll hurt more people. But everything I do to protect him, to give him a life where he's safe, where he has choices I never had. You don't have to explain yourself to me. I think I do. Because you're part of his life now, and you should know what that means. There are people who would hurt him to get to me, people who would use him as leverage. That's why this house has security systems that cost more than most people's houses. That's why there are armed guards you don't see but who are always watching. That's why I need you to follow every safety protocol, no matter how paranoid it seems." Maya's blood chilled. "Has someone threatened him?" "Not specifically, but in my business, you don't wait for specific threats. You prepare for all of them." Vincent moved closer, and Maya could smell his cologne, something expensive and subtle. "If anything ever happens, if anyone ever tries to take him or hurt him, you run. You take Luca and you run to the safe room in the basement. The door code is 0427, his birthday. You lock yourselves in and you call me. No one else. Do you understand?" "Yes." "Say it back to me." "If there's danger, I take Luca to the basement safe room. Code 0427. Lock the door, call you." "Good." Vincent held her gaze. "I'm trusting you with the most important thing in my world. Don't make me regret it." "I won't," Maya said, and meant it. But 3 days later, everything changed. It started with the family event, Antonio's 75th birthday party, a massive affair at the Drake Hotel with 300 guests. Maya wasn't supposed to attend. She was supposed to stay home with Luca, have a quiet evening, maybe watch a movie. But at the last minute, Luca got upset. He wanted to see his grandfather, wanted to give him the birthday card they'd made together. Vincent was already at the hotel, so Maya called Antonio. "Bring him," Antonio said immediately. "It's my birthday. I want my grandson here." So Maya dressed Luca in his little suit and herself in the only nice dress she owned, dark blue, simple, appropriate. They took a car service to the Drake, Luca clutching his card the entire way. The ballroom was spectacular. Crystal chandeliers, flowers everywhere, a string quartet playing. It was also full of people Maya recognized from news reports and whispered conversations. Chicago's power structure, legitimate and otherwise, all gathered to pay respect to Antonio Calabrese. Maya kept Luca close, navigating through the crowd toward where she could see Antonio holding court near the windows. They were almost there when someone grabbed her arm. She turned to find an older man, probably in his 60s, with Antonio's eyes, but a cruel mouth. He was blocking her path, his grip on her arm painful. "Who are you?" he demanded. "How did you get in here? I'm Luca's nanny. Mr. Calabrese invited us. My brother doesn't invite the help to family events. He looked her up and down with disgust. You're probably some gold digger trying to get close to Vincent. Well, it won't work. Get out before I have security remove you. Maya tried to pull free, but his grip tightened. Luca pressed against her side, frightened by the man's anger. Sir, if you just call Mr. Calabrese, I don't need to call anyone. I'm Salvatore Calabrese, Antonio's brother, and I'm telling you to leave. Now. Let go of me, Maya said, her voice low and steady despite her racing heart. You're scaring Luca. I don't care about. Is there a problem here? Vincent appeared like a shadow, his voice deadly quiet. He looked at his great-uncle's hand on Maya's arm, and something dangerous flickered in his eyes. Uncle Salvatore, remove your hand from her. Now. Salvatore dropped her arm but didn't back down. This woman snuck into a private family event with my son, at my father's invitation. Vincent moved between Maya and Salvatore, a wall of controlled fury. Touch her again, and family or not, you'll regret it. A crowd was forming. Maya could feel eyes on them, could hear the whispers starting. Luca was shaking against her side. I should take him home, Maya said quietly. No. Antonio's voice cut through the tension. He walked toward them, the crowd parting. Salvatore, what's going on? This young woman is Luca's nanny, and she's here because I invited her, because my grandson wanted to see me on my birthday. Antonio's voice was cold. Are you telling me I can't invite my own grandson to my party? Of course not, but then what exactly is the problem? Salvatore's face flushed. She doesn't belong here. Look at her. She's nobody. And you're letting her raise Vincent's son? Letting her into our home? It's inappropriate. It's enough. Antonio's voice cracked like a whip. But he was looking at Maya now, and there was something in his eyes. A test, maybe. Miss Santos, my brother thinks you don't belong here. What do you say to that? The ballroom had gone silent. 300 people waiting to see what the nobody in the cheap dress would do. Maya could have apologized, could have backed down, taken Luca, and left quietly. That's what Salvatore expected, what everyone expected. Instead, she looked at Antonio Calabrese, then at his brother, and said the 7 words that would change everything. I belong wherever Luca needs me to be. The silence was absolute. Salvatore's face went purple, but Antonio smiled, a real smile, warm and approving. That, Antonio said, is the correct answer. He turned to his brother. Salvatore, you will apologize to Miss Santos, and then you will remember that in this family, we judge people by their character and their loyalty, not their bank accounts. Or have you forgotten where we came from? I haven't forgotten anything, Salvatore said coldly. But he looked at Maya. My apologies, Miss Santos. I was overzealous in my concern for family security. It wasn't a real apology, and they both knew it. But it was enough. The crowd began to disperse, conversations resuming. Vincent touched her elbow gently. Are you okay? I'm fine. But Luca... She looked down. Luca was staring up at her with wide eyes. And then he did something he hadn't done since his mother died. He wrapped his arms around her waist and held on tight. Maya's eyes burned. She knelt down and hugged him back, and over his head she saw Vincent's expression, gratitude and something else, something that made her heart skip. Let's give Grandpa his card, Maya said softly to Luca. That's why we came, right? Luca nodded against her shoulder, then pulled back and held up the card. Antonio took it with hands that weren't quite steady. Did you make this for me, Luca? Luca nodded. It's the best present I've gotten all night. Antonio opened it, and Maya saw his eyes widen slightly. Inside, in careful child's handwriting, Luca had written, "Happy birthday, Grandpa. I love you." Did you write this yourself? Antonio asked. Luca nodded again. Thank you, my boy. I love you too. Antonio pulled his grandson into a hug, and when he looked at Maya over Luca's head, his eyes were wet. Thank you, he mouthed. The rest of the party passed in a blur. Maya stayed close to Vincent, Luca between them, a small family unit that felt more real than it should. People approached to pay their respects, and she saw how they looked at Vincent. With respect, yes, but also fear. She saw the weight he carried, the constant vigilance in his eyes. But she also saw the way he looked at his son, the way his hand rested protectively on Luca's shoulder. Whatever else Vincent Calabrese was, he was a father who loved his child with a fierce, desperate intensity. They left early, Luca falling asleep in the car on the way home. Vincent carried him upstairs and Maya followed, helping him change Luca into pajamas and tuck him in. He wrote, Vincent said quietly, standing in the doorway of Luca's room. He hasn't written anything since Maria died. I didn't even know if he remembered how. He remembered. He just needed a reason. You gave him that reason. No, you did. He wanted to tell his grandfather he loved him. That's about family, not me. Vincent turned to face her fully. What you said tonight, about belonging wherever he needs you, did you mean it? Yes. Why? You've been here 3 weeks. You barely know us. Why would you stand up to my family for him? Maya thought about how to answer that. Because I know what it's like to be a kid who's lost everything. And I know what it's like when someone shows up and refuses to let you drown. Someone did that for me once. I'm just paying it forward. Who? A teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez. When my mom got sick and I started missing school, she could have reported me, gotten me in trouble. Instead, she brought me groceries and helped me with homework in the hospital cafeteria. She didn't have to. She just did. Maya smiled slightly. She told me that the world is hard enough. The least we can do is be kind to each other when we can. Vincent was quiet for a long moment. Then, I'm glad you're here, Maya. I'm glad you're the one taking care of him. Me too, Maya said, and realized she meant it. Over the next weeks, something shifted. Vincent started coming home earlier, joining them for dinner every night. He helped with bedtime routines, reading to Luca from the same books Maya had been reading. He was learning to be patient, to follow Luca's pace, and Luca was responding. One night, Luca fell asleep between them on the couch during a movie. Vincent moved to carry him upstairs, and Luca stirred, his hand reaching out. Not for his father, for Maya. Mama, Luca whispered, still mostly asleep. The word hung in the air like a grenade. Vincent froze. Maya's heart stopped. Luca's eyes opened, focused, and she saw the moment he realized what he'd said. Tears filled his eyes. Hey, it's okay, Maya said softly, pulling him close. It's okay, sweetheart. But Luca was crying now, real sobs, and the dam had finally broken. I miss her. I miss Mama. I want her back. I know you do. Maya held him while he cried, and over his head, She saw Vincent's face, devastated, helpless. "I'm sorry," Luca sobbed. "I'm sorry, Daddy. I didn't mean—" Vincent was there in an instant, wrapping his arms around both of them. "You have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing. I miss her too, every single day." "She's not coming back," Luca said, his voice breaking. "She's never coming back." "No, she's not," Vincent said, and Maya heard his voice crack. "But she loved you so much, Luca, more than anything in the whole world, and she'd want you to be happy. She'd want you to laugh and play and have a good life." "I don't know how," Luca whispered. "We'll figure it out together," Vincent said. "All three of us, okay?" Luca nodded against Maya's shoulder, and they stayed like that, tangled together on the couch, until his tears slowed and his breathing evened out into sleep. Vincent carried him upstairs and Maya followed. They tucked him in together, a routine that had become natural over the past weeks. In the hallway, Vincent stopped her. "Thank you for not being upset when he called you." "I wasn't upset. I was honored." Maya met his eyes. "But Vincent, I'm not trying to replace his mother. I would never." "I know. That's not what I meant." Vincent ran a hand through his hair, looking exhausted. He's talking again. Because of you. He's healing. And I don't know how to thank you for that." "You don't need to thank me. This is my job." "It stopped being just a job weeks ago, and we both know it." He was right. Somewhere between the dinosaur habitats and the bedtime stories, between teaching Luca to smile again and watching Vincent learn to be vulnerable, this had become more than a job. These people had become her people. "Vincent, don't." He stepped closer, and Maya's breath caught. "Don't say it. Don't tell me all the reasons this is complicated. I know them. I've been listing them for weeks. But right now, in this moment, I just need to say thank you. For everything you've done. For everything you are." "You're welcome," Maya whispered. Vincent lifted his hand, hesitated, then gently touched her cheek. His hand was warm, calloused, surprisingly gentle. "You're extraordinary, Maya Santos. I hope you know that." Then he walked away, leaving her standing in the hallway with her heart racing and her world tilted on its axis. Everything was fine for exactly 6 more days. Then, Salvatore made his move. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon. Maya and Luca were in the garden, playing by the koi pond, when she heard shouting from inside the house. Male voices, angry, getting louder. She stood, instinctively moving between Luca and the house. "Let's go inside, okay?" But before they could move, Salvatore burst onto the patio, his face twisted with rage. Behind him, Antonio and Vincent were emerging from the house, both looking furious. "You've gone too soft, Vincent," Salvatore was shouting. "First you bring in this girl, let her get close to your son, and now you're refusing the Moretti deal because you don't want to expose Luca to that element? Since when do we make business decisions based on—" He stopped, seeing Maya and Luca. His expression hardened. "Perfect. The reason my nephew has lost his mind." He started toward them, and Maya's instinct screamed danger. "Luca, go to your father," she said quietly. But Luca was frozen, staring at his great-uncle with wide, frightened eyes. "You've poisoned him against his own family," Salvatore spat at Maya. "Turned him into a weak, crying child. Turned Vincent into a fool who puts feelings over business." "That's enough." Vincent's voice was deadly. He was moving toward them, but Salvatore was closer. Is it? Because I remember when this family meant something, when we were feared, respected. Now we're a joke because Vincent Calabrese is too busy playing house with the help to— I said enough! Vincent grabbed his uncle's arm, yanking him back. Salvatore shoved him off. You want to know what your father and I were discussing? A vote. To remove you as head of operations. You're unfit, Vincent. You've lost your edge. And it's because of her. He pointed at Maya, and she saw it then, the real hatred in his eyes. This wasn't about business. This was about power. About Salvatore seeing an opportunity to take control of the family operations. The vote won't pass, Antonio said coldly. I still control 40%, and I vote with Vincent. For now. But what happens when she betrays him? When she takes the kid and runs? When she sells information to our enemies? Salvatore smiled cruelly. Because that's what people like her do. They see an opportunity and they take it. She's nobody, Antonio. She's using us. That's not true, Luca said. Everyone froze. It was the first time Luca had spoken in front of Salvatore. The first time he'd spoken to defend anyone. What did you say? Salvatore demanded. Maya's not nobody. Luca's voice was small but steady. She's good. She helps me. She's my friend. Luca, Vincent started. And you're mean, Luca continued, his voice growing stronger. You're mean, and you scared her, and I don't like you. Salvatore's face went purple. Why, you little... He took a step toward Luca, and Maya moved without thinking. She put herself between them, her body language making it clear she'd fight if she had to. Touch him, Maya said quietly, and I don't care who you are. I will make you regret it. Salvatore laughed. You'll make me regret it? You? Yes, me. Maya didn't back down. Because unlike you, I actually care about that little boy. I care about his healing, his happiness, his safety. And I will protect him from anyone who threatens those things, including you. The garden was silent. Then Antonio started laughing, a real, genuine laugh. I like her, Antonio said. I really like her. Salvatore, you're right about one thing. She's changed Vincent. She's made him remember that there's more to life than power and fear. She's helped my grandson find his voice again. And if you see those things as weaknesses, then you've forgotten what this family was supposed to be about. Which is what? Salvatore demanded. Family, protection, loyalty. Antonio moved to stand beside Maya, a gesture of solidarity that wasn't lost on anyone. Miss Santos has shown more loyalty to this family in 2 months than you've shown in 2 years. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to apologize to her and to Luca. You're going to withdraw your vote of no confidence, and you're going to remember that I'm still alive, still in charge, and I decide who belongs in this family. She's not family, Salvatore said. She is now, Vincent said, coming to stand on Maya's other side. As of this moment, Maya Santos is under Calabrese's protection, full protection. That means she's untouchable, and anyone who threatens her threatens us. Are we clear? Salvatore looked between them, Antonio, Vincent, and Maya, a united front, and something in his expression shifted. Maya saw the calculation there, saw him realize he'd lost this battle. Crystal, Salvatore said. Then, to Maya, my apologies, Miss Santos. I spoke out of turn. He left without another word, and Maya's legs almost gave out. Vincent caught her elbow, steadying her. You okay? I just threatened a member of your family. You protected my son. There's a difference. Vincent looked at her with something that might have been awe. You didn't even hesitate. Of course not. He was going to hurt Luca. Most people would have run, or at least stepped aside. I'm not most people, Maya said, and then she started shaking. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving her weak and terrified. Oh, God. I just threatened a Mafia boss. Former Mafia boss. Salvatore's been out of operations for years. Vincent pulled her close, and Maya let herself lean against him, just for a moment. But yes, that was incredibly brave and incredibly stupid. Will he come after me? No, not now that you're under family protection. That's a sacred thing in our world. He'd have to go through me and my father to get to you, and he's not that stupid. Vincent's arms tightened around her. You're safe, Maya. I promise. Daddy? Luca's small voice interrupted. Is Maya really family now? Vincent looked down at his son, then at Maya, and something shifted in his expression. Yeah, buddy, she really is. That night, after Luca was asleep, Maya found Vincent in his office, the one room she'd been told never to enter. The door was open, and he was sitting at his desk, staring at a photograph. When he saw her, he didn't tell her to leave. That's Maria, he said, holding up the photo. A beautiful woman with dark hair and kind eyes, holding a baby Luca. This was the day he was born. She was so happy. We both were. Maya stepped into the office. You must miss her terribly. Every day. But it's different now. For months after she died, the grief was all I could feel. It consumed everything. I couldn't be a good father because I could barely function. Vincent set down the photo. Then you came. And slowly the grief became something I could carry instead of something that carried me. Because I had to. Because Luca needed me, and you were showing me how to be there for him. Vincent, let me finish. He stood, moving around the desk to face her. Today, when you stood between Luca and Salvatore, when you looked at a dangerous man and didn't flinch, I realized something. You're the bravest person I've ever met. And somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you. Maya's heart stopped. You can't. We can't. I know. I know all the reasons this is impossible. You work for me. You're Luca's nanny. I'm not a good man. I'm not safe. But I need you to know anyway. I need you to know that you've changed everything. I'm not her, Maya said quietly. I'm not Maria. I could never. I don't want you to be her. I loved Maria. Part of me will always love her. But what I feel for you is different. It's its own thing. Vincent stepped closer. The question is, do you feel anything for me? Or am I alone in this? Maya knew she should lie, should protect herself, protect this job, protect the fragile stability they'd built. But she'd never been good at lying. You're not alone, she whispered. I feel it too. I've been trying not to, but I do. Then what do we do about it? I don't know. This is so complicated, Vincent. There's Luca to think about and your family, and the fact that I'm still figuring out how to exist in your world. So we take it slow. We see where this goes. No pressure, no expectations, just possibility. Vincent reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Can you live with possibility? Maya thought about it, about the danger and the complications, about Luca and Antonio and the fact that she was falling in love with a man whose business she didn't fully understand. But she also thought about the way Vincent looked at his son, the way he'd protected her today, the way he'd let her see his vulnerability. "Yes," she said, "I can live with possibility." Vincent smiled, a real smile, warm and hopeful, and kissed her forehead. "Good, because I'm not letting you go, Maya Santos. You're family now, and we protect family." 3 months later, Salvatore made his second move, and this time, it was deadly. Maya woke to the sound of gunfire. She was on her feet instantly, her heart hammering, Vincent's instructions echoing in her mind. She ran to Luca's room, scooped him out of bed, he was already awake, terrified, and ran for the basement. More gunfire, shouting, the sound of breaking glass. It's okay," she whispered to Luca, even though nothing was okay. She reached the basement door, punched in the code 0427, and pulled Luca inside. The safe room was small, windowless, with concrete walls and a steel door. There was food, water, a first aid kit, and a phone. Maya locked the door and called Vincent. He answered on the first ring. "Maya?" "We're in the safe room. What's happening?" "Salvatore. He brought men to the house. Stay where you are. Don't open the door for anyone but me or my father. Do you understand?" "Yes, Vincent, be careful." "Always am." The line went dead. Luca was shaking. Maya pulled him onto her lap, wrapping her arms around him. "We're safe here. Your dad made sure we'd be safe." "What if they hurt him?" Luca whispered. "They won't. Your dad is strong and smart, and he has help. He'll be fine." But Maya wasn't sure. She could still hear gunfire, muffled through the concrete. Minutes passed like hours. Luca cried silently against her shoulder, and Maya held him, singing softly, old lullabies her mother had sung to her. Then, silence, worse than the gunfire. Maya waited, counting her heartbeats. 5 minutes. 10. 15. A knock on the door. "Maya, it's me. Open up." Vincent's voice. But Maya had watched enough movies to know that could be a trick. What did Luca write in his grandfather's birthday card? A pause. Then, "Happy birthday, Grandpa. I love you. Now open the damn door." Maya unlocked it. Vincent stood there, blood on his shirt, not his own, she realized with relief. His gun still in his hand. Behind him, Antonio and several other men were securing the house. "Are you both okay?" Vincent asked, holstering the gun and pulling them both into his arms. "We're fine. What happened?" "Salvatore tried to stage a coup. Brought in outside muscle, thought he could take control of the family by force. He was wrong." Vincent's voice was cold. "It's over now." "Is he dead?" "No, but he's in police custody, and he'll be there for a very long time. I made sure of that." Luca pulled back, looking up at his father. "You're okay?" "I'm okay, buddy. I promised I'd keep you safe, didn't I?" Luca nodded, then threw his arms around Vincent's neck. "I was scared." "I know. I'm sorry. But it's over now. No one's going to hurt you. I promise." Antonio appeared in the doorway. "The house is secure, but Vincent, we should probably relocate for a few days, just to be safe." "Agreed." Vincent looked at Maya. "Pack bags for you and Luca. We're going to the lake house. It's more secure, and we could all use some space from this." The lake house turned out to be a sprawling property in Wisconsin, surrounded by woods and water. It was beautiful and isolated, and for the first time in months, Maya felt like she could breathe. They spent a week there, the four of them: Vincent, Maya, Luca, and Antonio. It felt like a real family vacation, if you ignored the armed guards patrolling the perimeter. They swam in the lake, cooked meals together, played board games. Luca laughed again, real belly laughs that filled the house with joy. One night, after Luca was asleep, Maya and Vincent sat on the dock, their feet dangling in the water.
"I've been thinking," Vincent said, "about what you said once, about doing something worthwhile with your life."
I remember. I want that too. For Luca. I want him to grow up knowing he can choose a different path than I did, that he doesn't have to be part of this world if he doesn't want to be. You're a good father, Vincent. Whatever else you are, you're a good father. I'm trying to be, and part of that is making sure he has good people around him, people like you. Vincent turned to face her. I love you, Maya. I've been trying to find the right time to say it, but there's never a perfect moment. So I'm just saying it now. I love you. Maya's eyes filled with tears. I love you too. I've loved you for a while now. I was just afraid to admit it. Why afraid? Because loving you means accepting your world, the danger, the violence, the moral ambiguity. And I don't know if I'm strong enough for that. You're the strongest person I know. You stood up to Salvatore twice. You protected Luca without hesitation. You're exactly strong enough. Vincent took her hand. But I understand if it's too much. If you want to leave, I'll help you. I'll make sure you're safe, that you have money, that you can start over somewhere new. I won't trap you here. Maya looked at their joined hands, then at the house where Luca slept, safe and healing. She thought about the past months, about becoming part of this strange, dangerous, loving family. She thought about the woman she'd been when she first walked through those gates, desperate, alone, barely surviving. And the woman she was now, strong, loved, home. I don't want to leave, she said. I want to stay, with you, with Luca, with this family, as complicated as it is. Vincent pulled her close and kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promise. Then stay. Be with us. Be with me. Yes, Maya whispered against his lips. Yes. 2 years later, Maya stood in the garden where she'd first defended Luca, wearing a simple white dress and her mother's pearl earrings. Antonio walked her down the aisle. Her own father had never been in the picture, and Antonio had insisted on the honor. Luca was the ring bearer, grinning proudly in his little suit. And Vincent waited at the altar, looking at her like she was the most precious thing in his world. They said their vows surrounded by family, the good ones, the ones who'd accepted her, who'd seen past her background to the person she was, the ones who understood that family wasn't about blood or money. It was about showing up, about protecting each other, about love that didn't flinch in the face of danger. When Vincent kissed her, Luca cheered and Maya laughed, and for a moment, everything was perfect. Later, at the reception, Antonio pulled her aside. You know, when I first had you investigated, I thought you were just a desperate girl who needed money. I was wrong. You're a warrior. You saved my grandson's life in ways that had nothing to do with physical danger. You brought him back to us. And you made my son remember how to live again. They saved me too, Maya said. I was drowning before I came here. They gave me a reason to swim. That's what family does. We keep each other afloat. Antonio smiled. Welcome to the family, officially. Though you've been one of us since the moment you told Salvatore you belonged wherever Luca needed you to be. Maya hugged him, this dangerous man who'd become a grandfather to her in every way that mattered. Thank you for taking a chance on me. Thank you for taking a chance on us. That night, as Maya and Vincent danced under the stars, Luca asleep on Antonio's shoulder nearby, Maya thought about the journey that had brought her here, the grief and the fear, the courage and the love. She'd walked into this world expecting temporary safety, a job to get her through a crisis. Instead, she'd found home. "What are you thinking about?" Vincent asked, pulling her closer. "That I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." "Good, because I'm never letting you go." Vincent kissed her forehead. "You're stuck with us now, Mrs. Calabrese." "I can live with that," Maya said, and meant it with every fiber of her being. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is open your heart. And sometimes that danger leads you exactly where you need to be: home.